Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2009. This morning I'd like to go through a new feature of the ObjectStudio 8.2 release that's coming out this fall. And when I say new feature, the mapping tool has been a part of ObjectStudio in the past, but has just been ported up to ObjectStudio 8. So to get started, what we want to do is go to File, Load Application, and scrolling down here you'll find Mapping Tool. I'm just going to click Load on that. And that's going to take a little moment to load. Once it completes, you'll see that there's something happened down here, so let's close this. You've got the modeling tool and the mapping tool. We're not really interested in the modeling tool this morning. We're going to look at the mapping tool, so I'm going to double click on that, and that'll open up the mapping tool. Now what I need to do is I need to set up a new atlas, meaning a repository for my work. So I'm just going to call this My Demo, and hit Active Record, and hit Create. And then once I've done that, let me move this into the view where you can fully see it, and see if I can make it smaller. Get everything in there. So now a couple of these buttons are cut off, but I think you can see what I'm doing here. So now what I'm going to do is add an available database. So let's go ahead and hit plus, and we'll put in my username and my password and the environment, which is my local Postgres database running here on Windows. And then down here I have to pick the Postgres database platform. Now an interesting pause is going to happen here in a moment when I select Postgres, because I haven't gone out and loaded the Postgres support. So when I hit the connect button, you're going to see it look like nothing's happening for a moment. In fact, things are happening. In the background it's loading the Postgres support for me. If I want to change this, I can type in the one that I want, which is public. So let's take that. And now I want to add a table to this. So it's going to go ahead and look at the public schema in this database and show me what tables there are. Now I've got a store repository here, which is why all these tables that begin with TW are in there. But let's just scroll down to the one I want, which is posts. At some point in the past I did a web velocity demo with this. So I've got the posts table. I'm going to select that one. And it mapped it right in here. Now what I can do is I can come up here, and there are some buttons here in the toolbar. Open Atlas, I've already got one. Generate classes. Let's go ahead and generate the classes for this. And I'm going to put this into a package called My Demo. And you notice that it went ahead and generated ObjectStudio.posts to map over from ObjectStudio posts in the database. And then finally, what I want to do is go to this button here, Write Descriptor, and it's going to write the descriptor out for the actual mapping of the table over, so that I have that all in the repository that I've created. And it's going to create a package where I want this. It's going to default to the one it used before. And then it's going to warn me that since I'm using all lowercase, it wants to make that uppercase for the class name. I'm going to say yes. I could have obviated that by making the package uppercase name, but that's neither here nor there. So let's move this out of the way, because what I want to do now is go and show you what actually happens. So let's browse System. Get the browser up here. We're going to scroll down, and we'll find that there's a package called My Demo, and we've got the class posts down here, no comment obviously, and the descriptor system where we've got everything mapped over from the database. Now the next step is, how would I go ahead and use that? Well, it turns out you need to know a little bit about working with Glorp to do that. I've got a workspace here, and up above where you can't see, I've got my username and password in. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Get a Glorp login. I'm going to give it my username, my password, the connect string, the database platform I'm using, and then I'm going to use the descriptor system I had it generate for me and tell it, grab me a database session for that login, and then log into that session. And then I can give it queries. So I create read many of, meaning go ahead and do a select star from, execute it in that session, log out, and give me the results. So let's go ahead and do a Smalltalk inspect. And you go ahead and get that. Array new 1 instance of post. Go ahead and look here. We've got the instance of post. Double click on that. And you see I've got my post object here. There's the ID, the title. So this is from some web velocity demo I did eons ago under Windows. But I've gone ahead and read that back, got that into ObjectStudio, and everything works fine. So that's how I was able to go ahead and, using the mapping tool, map over from this table to this class. And then once I had done that, I was able to write a small amount of code and start querying the database. And that's really all there is to this to get started. We're going to be shipping documentation with this that will allow you to get a lot further than I'm doing in this screencast. But that should give you an idea of how to get started. You can look at the query class and see a lot more of the things you can do to set up where clauses and order by clauses and all of that kind of stuff. That's kind of beyond the scope of this little screencast. This should give you enough to get started. So that's about it for today. Till next time, have fun with Smalltalk.